Guys, we're back with the Lungelo Manzi, and we're going to try to get a bit more personal here. But it's just going to be quite, some follow-up questions as well from what we had in the first session. Andile, I believe you've got a lot of questions, bro. So hit us up.
Well, I can say it's a question, but now, Lungelo, you can just tell me what you think about it. Because there you mentioned this thing, like, for others, it's like going out to the club, like your performance, but you're going to the club and Abanye, they're just there for the hands, they're just there to look cool, they're just there for the pictures and whatnot. And to some, it's like a job, like you're at the office. So when you're at the office, that's like a 9 to 5. And when you're doing a 9 to 5, you're earning a salary. And with that salary, you have to maintain a certain life. Like you have bills to pay and this and that. With artists, it's always been kind of tricky because I don't know if there needs to be a way in the industry to teach artists about how to spend or save money, because in most cases, it's just a hand-to-mouth situation. So you're at the office and people are just there. They are making money, but impilo yabo doesn't progress. You're actually making money and a fee every now and then, but not much is happening. Jobu shoot some news house at Durban North or wherever they stay or wherever, but they talking about they have cash on their songs. Amazi, do you feel like it's a person's responsibility as an artist to really find out more about how to save, or are there actual channels that are guiding artists on how to spend the money that they make? Because it's a job.
To follow up from that, actually, with the knowledge and everything that you gained from the incubator as well, if you could link it up with that.
Firstly, let me just say, in the 4 years that I've been pushing, I only started getting paid for gigs last year, bruh. In the last year, And financial literacy is a big part of that, because it's there's so much to pay for if you don't have a label to pay for shit. You've got studio time, artwork, you've got videos, photo shoots, features, there's beats, There's so much behind what it takes to become an artist that the one way to go around that when you're an independent artist is that you have to do it yourself. So you end up having to learn skills outside of just being a great rapper or a great singer to save. That's basically what it comes about. So, for example, I dropped a video for Black Dog 3 called Closure. We shot that on a Huawei, on location, while shooting the press images, right? That is a form of saving to me, because it's we could have got a whole fancy-ass production house that could have cost us 40 grand or whatever, but we don't have that right now, right? Day to day, when you have gigs moving, it really just means, for me, how I see it is that niggas need to have day jobs, because there's just really no way for you to expect to live off of your music if you're trying to make music that is authentic to you and that doesn't fit with what's actually on the radio. So if you're trying to be on radio and you're making shit that won't be on radio, you're not looking at Samro checks coming in. If you're trying to blow up on the internet, it's that gap between you having the songs and getting the streaming numbers. But even then, streaming is not giving you that much cash, So that hand to mouth that you're getting from those paying gigs that you may get, it has to be a decision that you have to make now. Because it's half of that money is your transport. You need food while you're at the gig. If you're working with a band, you got to pay the band. You got to make sure that they get back and forth. You got to make sure, are those things that you need outside of your... can you leverage those things that you need besides your actual fee in your tech rider? Those are things that are hard to come by when you're still coming up, because promoters want to get you with exposure and an audience that you didn't get yourself. When you don't have those things to bargain with, you're always playing at a loss. So the only way to go around that is having a job outside of your actual passion to sustain you. Even doing that now, it becomes a tricky situation of how do you assess your spending, because I'm a brand now. If I'm someone who says I've got cash, cars, and clothes, I've got to maintain that lifestyle. So I've got to always have cash for new shit. Because apparently somehow there's this weird rule that you can't wear the same shit twice, which is strange to me, because clothes are clothes. And if I love some shit, I love some shit. I heard that on a recent episode of The Sobering, another podcast, and I really identified with that too. It's bruh, nah, clothes are clothes, dog. And for me, it's why you don't hear a lot of clothes type of raps or material type of raps. Unless it's something that I'm actually going through and assessing and like grappling with, then you'll hear my perspective or my perception about it at that time. So as far as saving, I don't think there is a channel. It's like for any other job, you know, like if you are in a corporate space, there's policies and things to teach you how to do that job. You go to study in university, you come out, you get the job, you work. Then there's rules in that building to tell you how to best do your job so you don't end up in HR or fired, you know?
Yeah.
In music, there isn't really much of that. But there are places to access that knowledge, like music conferences, like the Music in Bizo, that can teach you the ins and outs of the music business, you know? The problem is that in itself is only recently starting to be exposed to new artists. New artists don't necessarily see those platforms because to a new guy trying to make music, his only references of music are YouTube and whatever's on DSTV. That is a limited space because there's not enough educational music content on there. Only recently with like these interview shows that are going up and people slowly starting to share this information has it started to happen. What I can say to people who are looking to that sort of information is like, don't even worry about music-related content. Just look at financial literacy in general. You know, there's a lot of content in that. You know, they'd like to base it in like corporate spaces, but it's accessible. There's like Hans on Twitter, bro, who always post like financial tips. I know, I forgot her name. I think Pumzile or something. But she also like, there's always gang content, and I'm always following people like that, even if they're talking about shit that doesn't relate to my music, but just the principles are what you can gain from that. And that is really the artist's job. Like you can't blame anyone for the way you spend your money, because at the end of the day, it's yours. It's up to you to know that, okay, I'm impulsive. I need to know that. I can't be around shops at a certain time or a certain amount of cash in my wallet. So I need to look up and read up on how to save. As far as the incubator, there wasn't really that sort of conversation happening. What I did see though is just thinking about the costs of all the things that we had. You know, so for example, we transported ourselves, but there was like food when we were eating given to us. There was the interviews that were created. There were the MTV-based appearances. So I don't know how much of that was paying a PR company or the relationship that Slicker has to negotiate that for himself. Yeah. So I can't speak too much about that, but I do know that if I had to look at it from my side, it would definitely cost a shitload to get to that sort of level. Yeah. But as I said earlier on, you know, being an artist, doing the DIY thing, you can learn these skills. So for example, since I dropped my tape, I thought of creating flyers. So I went to go design them online. How do I design them? I don't have Adobe. There's an online website called Canva. Canva is like a design space for people who aren't designers, but you can easily create something for yourself. Yeah. The photography, I worked with the same photographer from my first cover to now. How do I know him? We went to church together. I found out that he was a photographer. I was like, hey man, do you mind taking some shots of me? And he took some amazing shots. And I've stuck with him ever since. So while I was there, for this third project, we stepped up the whole photography relationship and shot a video together. And now that was an extra piece of content, you know, that didn't cost me anything. But I'm still motivated that if I get paid, I do pay him as well, you know? So it's how you build your relationships, because to me, that's what the industry is. It's a network of relationships. And it's up to you and your brand to be able to move in that space without having to kiss ass, but leverage what you're worth. Because at the end of the day, you do have a right to make a living from this thing. You can't be dying broke because you are giving a product. And just because it sounds good, it doesn't mean it's not worth paying for.
Yeah. And obviously with, with what you were mentioning there about having to balance what, you know, your passion with sort of having a day job. Lungelo Manzi, does he have a day job?
Yeah. I mean, lockdown was heavy. I remember before then I was at a call center. Sucked my soul away for like a year. In that time, I was really struggling because it was just after the whole incubator thing, and I was really starting to push my gigs and my name out there. But at the same time, the issue was that the working times at the call center were shit. So I couldn't like do what I had to do, you know, because I'm working 12-hour days or 10-hour days, and I'm getting calls about like gigs and feature opportunities and interviews. But now if you miss that call at the time, it's done, you know, because your career as a musician is not just 9 to 5. It's 24 hours a day. There's always something to think about, always something to do, always something to keep improving on. So now with the job that I have, I'm fortunate enough that I can work from home with it while this corona situation is happening. And I'm able to also, be flexible with my time to be able to still handle the music as much as I can now.
Yeah.
I wanted to know, bro, have you ever felt any pressure of making music that's gonna like pop? Ngalendlela that it deviates from the actual sound that you're making, like those radio songs. Have you ever felt that pressure? Or yeah, I'm making such good music, but it's not getting played on radio as much as I'd love it to be played. Maybe I'm shooting this type of content and I'm not seeing it's in the right channels where I'd hope it would be played. Have you ever felt like pressure and when's it just something a bubblegum? Just to make imali or just to create Leo Lukuza and Leo clouds for yourself?
I think that's a matter of how you see it, That sort of pressure will always be in the air when you're starting out because you need a reference of what works and what doesn't. It starts as you saying, ooh, what can I make to go on radio? Then you end up, again, playing copywriter instead of actually, like, making your sound. But how I view it is how Lupe once said in an interview that, like, if you want to find out Lupe, you're going to listen to his shit, like his shit as under him alone. And then on features, he's having fun. Now, part of your craft, I believe, is also growing your pen. If you have like a full vision and you know what you want and you can choose how strict you want to be about it. I pride myself in being versatile. I'm a singer and a rapper. And I play on both sides because people struggle with boxing people who can do both. They want you to be either or. And when you're either or, they still want you to have a certain sound. So if you're singing, you must sing love songs. You can't sing about whatever else that's abstract, If you're rapping, you got to rap like with that bravado and that like, yeah, nigga, I'm that guy. Look at these skills. Rap about your skills forever, Yeah. And it's like, sometimes you're like, yo, dog, I'm just hearing a thesaurus going back and forth. Like, where's the content? Where is your story or a story, So what I tell myself is that if you want to listen to Lungelo Manzi, as far as my sound, you will listen to the stuff I've done under my name as a solo artist, the projects themselves. Yeah. But what I do is when I'm working with other artists, like for features and song requests like that, that's my space to test myself. So I even in the stuff that's not necessarily what I would do, I try to find the things I connect with. And that's usually of a higher quality than what's bubblegum, And then I work on those things to get that onto radio, if that's going to be the case, that if it sounds more accessible. But I always give it my spin. And I'm not trying to use the same flows. I'm not trying to use the same words. I'm trying to deliver it in a way that's still fun and catchy. But when you're listening to it, you know that so there's always a way to make any kind of sound. It's not the sound that is bubblegum. It's the effort. That's what it's makes something, I think, bubblegum. It's the fact that, like, you can tell this person is using a cliche after corny line, and there's no sense of feeling what the person is about when you listen to the song. You can make the simplest song, but if it's not you or as close to you as possible, then we can see that. And people are very smart. Like, the audience is smarter than we assume, and they can tell that shit. But even in the audience, there are people that are just going to hype you up for hype. They're not going to just hype you up because they want good music. They also want to have that sort of access to you being in that position of power or celebrity. And they'll do anything to make you believe that that's what you have at that time. And that's where, your lines get blurred and you end up making that bubblegum and one person is lying to another person,
With what you said earlier on was, you don't just work with anyone. Yeah, well, so for you, what kind of artist or what kind of stuff would you say when you receive it, you're like, nah, I'm not going to work with this,
It's a number of different things, Sometimes I work with someone because as a person, when I'm speaking to them, I really mess with their energy. And more often than not, that energy translates in their music. And then I can hear, oh, this is who you are. Doesn't matter if you're like, I've worked with artists that haven't made songs before, ever. And they've just started to release their first song and I jumped on that stuff, Not because of their name and how hyped they were, but I could see that potential of where they can go. I believe I have a great ear from my production side to hear, music better than others, just with a trained sort of ear. Yeah. So I use that to assess, for example, now the music, if I don't know you. Within like the first 10 seconds, I can tell, is this giving me a feeling or not? And then after that, it's like, okay, in your verse, what's your writing like? Are you paying attention to things that I pay attention to in a song? So if I'm listening to a song and I don't feel like you've thought about how are you pronouncing your words? What are you writing about? What's the song about, the message? What's the beats like? If there's too many things that I feel like I could improve upon, then it speaks to my perception. It would be like, I don't feel like there's so much that you could have done with this, so I'm not going to involve myself in this project. It doesn't mean I'm not going to work with you ever, but it doesn't make sense right now.
Yeah.
So that's how I sort of class it. And then if there's something that does work at that time, even if the rest of your discography can be whatever it is, I will still jump on that because that's what I mess with at the time.
Yeah, just to follow up before I pass on to Andile as well, you mentioned, people giving you artists, the attention. So sometimes it's just for the sake of hyping them up, because of the positions that these artists are in. Now with you and, the success that you've garnered with, the incubator and, Black Dog and whatnot, how do you sort of handle female attention?
How I sort of handle it is that because my music also has a lot of social commentary, I'm very aware of my privilege and my presence as a man first and foremost.
Yeah.
As a light-skinned nigga, because we've clearly got so many stereotypes. And what can come from making music specifically. Since I've created this sort of solo career, I'm very intentional about relationships that I keep, even working with women artists and like how to navigate that space. I'm very respectful about making sure that they're comfortable. It doesn't have to be a conversation at all times, but it's literally a thing of like respecting their space, respecting their artistry, not trying to, for example, if you're an artist and you're a woman and I'm working with you, I'm not trying to date, I'm not trying to tap, it's work right now, That's what my focus is on. And that's as much as I can do as far as that, because the worst thing that I can do is be a hypocrite to the content that I'm creating, because it's worse than even the guy who raps about cash and it's not that. It's literally saying, nah, I'm using things that relate to like the real state of the country for money, and that's damn near evil, you know what I mean? So yeah, I'm very respectful around the hands, man, Yeah.
Zimbili isn't that I want to touch on. First one is I'd really like to commend you for that. When you're working with female artists, you try to create that professional work ethic crossing boundaries or make them feel uncomfortable in any sort of way, because as we all know, women are going through a lot, especially in this case now with the gender-based violence and everything. And, abantu besifazane abaningi abakhuleki as much around us, abantu besilisa. So, first of all, I'd just like to commend you for actually being conscious of that. And would you say as artists or people with a certain following, because my following, you have a certain power, would you say as artists or artists have that responsibility in ngezinto abazishoyo in their music and how they act around other people, and noma mhlambe it doesn't matter, like umuntu nomuntu just has to figure that shit out for themselves? But would you say it's a responsibility to send some sort of awareness?
I wouldn't put it like that, because I'm not trying to say that we all need to be deep and conscious artists. My message is that as an artist, you must just be simply aware that life is happening. You are creating things that will influence people in any shape or form. So with that is the power that you're speaking about. So with that in mind, my thing is that as long as you, in some space of your life, are contributing, it doesn't have to be in the music. You don't have to make your music all positive and whatnot. But if outside of the music, from the money that you're making, maybe you're helping out at home and your family situation is a healthy space, because that's important too. That's enough. You know what I mean? If you're doing more than that and helping people in the streets, whether you're starting a charity or just one person in your day, it's those sorts of things. You can just be someone who's great to be around and a safe space for anyone, including women. That's enough in itself, because that will contribute to the community of people and women feeling safer. That's what it's about. It doesn't have to be that it's in your music, but your music itself should be something that is a tool to get to that end and even more, because that just speaks to human decency and being, ubuntu, that sort of feeling. It's more about that.
You said you have 3 tapes now, Black Dog. we didn't really get into the second and third part of it. So if you can just unpack that, those two tapes, and tell us, ukuthi mhlambe, would you say from the time that you were diagnosed with whatever you were diagnosed with, or whatever you were going through, ngalesa sikhathi, mhlambe to Black Dog 3, would you say it's gonna be a continuous series, or mhlambe khona la usuyivala khona and now you're gonna start a new chapter with mhlambe a different tape with a different name? Like, have you like laid it out ngendlela obufisa ngayo in these 3 series?
Yeah, no, that's great, man. I definitely have. So I'm very conceptual with the work that I do. For my solo stuff, what I've done is I planned out the concept before I made the music. Sometimes people do the opposite. Most people do the opposite, where they follow the feeling first, be organic about it, and then package it into something that has a theme. But because I had this experience to write from, I knew where I was going before I started. Black Dog, like I said in the beginning, the first one was more selfish. It's about telling you a specific experience for you to have some context to Lungelo Manzi without necessarily having met him, you know. The second one was about trying to find context in the city. So it was a bigger picture. It also was more towards identity and being, you know, at the time I was like, 25, 26. So it was like, okay, my father is no longer with me. How do I identify as a black man in this country with so much going on? How do I identify in the city as an artist with so many sounds that I enjoy? And that's why in Black Dog 2, the sounds are a lot bolder. They're a lot more different. There's a lot more range and a lot more features. Black Dog 3 was now the conclusion to this whole thing, because it is a trilogy. There won't be any Black Dog after this one that has dropped, the Black Dog 3. So it's the conclusion to the story of being an all-round approach to who I am, my sound going forward, the confidence, the development as an artist, my pen, you know, all of those things coming together, and you seeing like a more stronger, more complete picture of Lungelo Manzi that's not trying to tell you about all the shit that's happened, but now I've gone through the tunnel, I've come out on the other side, and this is who I am now. So it's very much a coming of age towards the end of that sort of period, you know, where now I'm comfortable in myself and my sound and my direction, and it's a celebration of that in Black Dog 3. So that's why there's not many features on it. It's only one, which is MJ Summers on Mr. And yeah, the rest is just a collaboration with the producers. I just need to shout them out also, you know, K Torture and Dabis Mnandi, Byron Tambu, the musicians, Gianni Shangasi on bass, Josh Ronson on guitar, Dave Ordinary, who did a lot of the production as well, Jaden Daniel, who did production, Wobbly on recording, Teabag, Audio Sims, K Torture I mentioned from Pretoria. Yeah.
Do you feel, as someone who was actually medically diagnosed as, you know, having, you said, clinic depression, do you feel that in 2020 artists globally, you know, sort of use depression as sort of like a trend as opposed to, you know, or as a means to getting famous? Because I feel like even with the guys that do, you know, a lot of the mainstream sort of sound that you hear now, it's mainly about them being depressed and using certain substance abuse and all that shit. Do you think people are falsely, you know, using this? Maybe these people don't even know what the hell depression is, but they look at, you know, someone else who's doing it and it's popping, and they're like, hey, I need to do this as well because this is the in thing. And I think just to also shed some light on actual like depression, what that feels like, because some people are actually uneducated on what the feeling is, what you go through and whatnot. There are a lot of misconceptions. So please shed some light on that, bro.
Yeah, there's a lot you can speak on with that, but I will say trends don't have a face or a type, you know. Trends are literally just the sum of people going in one direction. You know, it can be about anything. People could be talking about any kind of thing, and there will be some musician trying to copy that because for them, they want to get that mass marketing out there. It's not about what exactly you're talking about. So I know that when I was first dropping Black Dog 1, I was nervous as fuck because it's like no one is talking about depression here in Durban at the time. My closest reference was Ulu Anstad then, but I found him after I dropped the tape, you know. But in my head, I was just like, yo, in a city where Maskandi, Mbaqanga, Afro Jazz, House, Nikoma are pretty much the staple. How am I going to come in and tell people about mental health, you know? I was shit scared of that. But I found literally when I dropped that, the conversation kind of opened up because I remember when we lost Pro and Jabba, there was a shift at that time because they both had things surrounding that, linked to mental health and other spheres, you know what I mean? So there was definitely a shift that I observed, and I was grateful for that because, yes, we need energetic music that acts like a form of escape or celebration or, a good vibe. But there needs to be music for the people who stay up late, who can't sleep, who have too many thoughts in their minds, or who don't have any sort of music to bounce off of in that time, or at least to open their eyes to that. Because we have references overseas, but not at home with local references and local thoughts. So that was what my contribution was with creating this trilogy that I did, just so that I know that, okay, cool. If anyone is going through something like that, like what I've gone through, it doesn't have to be as hectic. It can just be feeling sad, feeling low, feeling isolated, alienated. You can listen to the music and just feel okay about it, To answer your question about depression, man, it's too complex to describe because everyone wants to give you a picture of what depression is. I must be sitting in a bathroom. There must be sad music. I must not be thinking about things, We've had a great conversation right now, but I could tell you now I'm still depressed, So it doesn't have a look or a face. It's just knowing that chemically, I try to picture it like we're in a car right now and everyone's life, or rather, let's say your sustenance of eating food is like petrol. My thing is that my compressor is broken or, my car just works in a different way to other cars, but it's still moving and I can still get there. But some days, I'm not moving. The brake pads are messed up or something. It's that sort of understanding about it. And it's not something that you can control. It's just what it is. And all you can do is manage it. That's the best thing that you can do. And there's a lot of resources that you can get for that sort of thing. The South African Depression and Anxiety Group is online at sadag.org. My music is available too on digital platforms if you need, some sort of bouncing board. There are lots of literature out there to help people in that sort of situation. But the best thing that you can do in your space is literally just find a friend or a family member that you know that you can have real conversations like these ones with and just share,
Yeah.
The best thing that you can do is share, because hearing your voice, speaking about the things that you think about too much goes a long way to just getting through it.
Yeah.
Because at least once it's out there, it's out there. And that is sometimes all that you need. You don't need like someone to give you religion and all these other sorts of pacifiers. Some of those things do help for people who are about it sincerely, but some days you just need space to be, and that's enough for you to feel or get through what you need to get through. Because some days when you're depressed or feeling really low, there's no reason behind it. It just is that way, feeling nothing about nothing.
Would you say, Woodsy, it was true for you? It was triggered by the lace joint, or was there other factors as well? Maybe something that happened?
Yeah, there's a lot, man. My life has had its share of trauma like the next person. We could talk about hours for that sort of thing. But there's always obviously going to be things in your childhood that come back to influence the things that trigger you. I know for me, a major thing was like bullying from primary to high school. Obviously losing my dad. I lost my eldest brother about 2-3 years ago as well. My grandmother as well in that same time period. So there's always, things that happen to everybody that can affect other people in more ways than others, and that can't be helped. Life will always happen. All you can do is make sure that you have the tools to get you through those things, because it might not be depression for the next person, but it might be like a drinking problem or substance abuse or another emotional situation or womanizing. There's a lot of things that can show the same problem in your life. But as long as you have someone to talk to, a way to release, like creatively, I always think that like having an outlet, whether you're painting, dancing, socializing, in a healthy way, those things can help you to get the edge off, and to get through things. You need to find what works for you so that you can, make it better.
On one last point, how did you overcome the bullying? Like, how were you bullied and, from primary school to high school, that whole experience? And how did you sort of overcome? Would you say what's in music was the way you overcame, years later? But at that time, while you were going through it, what sort of got you to sort of go past it?
I would say performing, like my music on stage, because with the bullying thing, it got me to a point where like, it's weird because it's like you have a real life hater your whole life. And it's weird. It's like, what did I do to earn this hater? Like, I've just got a hater on standby, just ready to just mess up my day, you know?
Yeah.
So when things are like that, it's like, okay, cool. It affected my ability to, for example, get roasted by friends. You know, yeah, we're laughing, we're joking, but now I'm taking it a bit too personally because I know someone who's done it to me like intentionally, you know. It makes you not deal with rejection in a nice way. Like, so for example, if I'm performing and people don't like my song, or sending an email and not getting the reply I want to, those things get to me more than it should. So performing on stage was always like something that made me challenge myself to be like, I'm going to give you energy. I'm going to give you a real ass performance. I'm not using backing tracks with the verses still on them. You're going to hear me. And it's going to feel like a ball of energy. So that sort of process kind of got me out of my shell, so that, you know, people who meet me think that, hey, this guy's so chill, he's so relaxed or whatever. But then on stage, it's like a total switch up, you know? And that's what is like the real life sort of example of me now, you know, learning to be comfortable with those flaws and work on them actively, to know that, hey, man, you know, there are good people in the world. There are people who just genuinely want the best for you, and letting go of the triggers, you know, and working at it properly and healthily.
Hey, that was tops, bro. Andile, I don't know if you have anything else.
I'm good.
Okay, bro. Is there anything you want to say to your fans and people who showed you support so far in closing?
Firstly, I want to say congrats to you guys for your nomination on the Durban Creative Awards. What I will also say is thank you to everyone who supported me. Like, I feel like I know every person who supports my music because of the feedback that they give me. It's always so personal. It's always more than just, that was a dope song, you know. Those things really speak into my life, and I don't take those for granted. So I thank everyone that's supported me, even like the industry people who reach out to me. Like, it's always dope to have that affirmation. This road is long, but it feels good knowing that I'm hitting somewhere. And yeah, just expect more music, bruh. More visuals, more content. I'm still pushing as hard as I can. And yeah.
That is dope, guys. Bro, we appreciate having you on the show. Thank you so much for coming through. It was really an awesome experience learning about you and what you've been through and everything you are as an artist. We really appreciate it. And obviously, just handles one last time before we bounce.
Yes, sir. So Twitter, Instagram at Lungelo Manzi, no spaces. That's LUNGELOMANZI. On Facebook, just add a SA at the end to that Lungelo Manzi. If you want to email me for like features, beats, lungelo101@gmail.com.
Just don't be whack if you're going to do that.
Yeah.
Andile, who are you online quick?
Facebook, Andile Mathonsi. Instagram, it's @Lunati_drops. Twitter, it's @Lunati_drops, and the Lunati has a double I.
Obviously, Sludge Underground, @Sludge Underground, Facebook, on Instagram, and on everywhere else, SoundCloud, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. We are at Sludge Underground Podcast. It's bye for now.
Hope you see the sunset, appreciate what's up next. Hope you get to know what's meant for you and meant to stay. Hope you keep the love left, appreciate your comeback. Hope you get to show what makes this road so worth the way you bloom in the rain and the sunshine. May you bloom every day that your heart tries. May you prove what it takes to be alright. May you prove all you came for the first time. Hold me here under the moonlight. The sun won't mind. This time you're mine. Hold me here until it feels like the sun won't mind. This time you're mine. This time you're mine. This time you're mine. This time you're mine. Wait till your smile just carries itself. Self and self-care for all that you felt. Doing the most for loved ones and your health. Doing the most for growth under your belt. Wait till your eyes fill up with no help. Joy for no reason, peace of mind, health. All in your season, free in your health. All in more reason you and I dealt with each other. Hold me here under the moonlight. The sun won't mind. This time you're mine. Hold me here until it feels like the sun won't mind. This time you're This time you're mine. This time you're mine. Hold me here under the moonlight. The sun rolled mine. This time you're mine. Hold me here until it feels like the sun rolled mine. This time you're 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 mine.